Welcome to the Missouri Baptist University Football Coaches Show. Head coach Jason Buryanex here. I'm Harry Schrader, and we're glad to be with you today on the Spartan Digital Network. And first of all, Jason, you never want to be one of those coaches who took moral victories after a loss. And yet, you guys played the number one team in the nation. You played them awfully well. You have to be at least a little bit encouraged by what happened last Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. We're very encouraged of what we saw. There is no moral victories, and that's what I talked to the team about on Monday morning and immediately after the game as well, is we're way past the point of moral victories. There was kind of two sides of that coin. One side was I was really proud at the effort and the enthusiasm and the way they played. We had talked early in the year, I think even on the show, about how there was some nervousness in playing St. Xavier, and we had to get past that. And I really thought these guys answered the challenge. They really took the field believing that they could hang with them and that they would beat that team. The frustrating part was the number of plays that we just gave them, and that was kind of the flip side of the coin. And we talked to them about believing in themselves, and that it's not just coach talk, that you can play with anybody in the country. That it is really
because you just did it.
Because we just did it. Exactly. And just kind of pointed to the places where simple mistakes or not made plays really could have flipped that game in a hurry, and we really felt like we could have come out of there with a W, but that's what good teams do, is they find ways, and that's what St. Francis did in the end.
You guys have gotten awful creative offensively, special teams, different things, and that's some of the reason you've had some success. You went for a 2-point conversion that didn't work. Talk a little bit, what was supposed to happen there?
Well, what was supposed to happen is Austin Schultz was coming from the weak side into the flat, and then Kenyon Perkins released into where he was, and that's where Jordan threw the ball. Austin got caught up a little bit in the rush, didn't clear through, and then Jordan Norwine just threw the ball a little bit inside of Kenyon. If he threw it a little bit more to the outside, I think Kenyon would have had a chance to make the play, but I give a ton of credit to Coach Williams, who runs our PAT field goal team, and he's been very creative in how to create fake opportunities and things that he feels we can take advantage of. And I really am proud of Coach Coe, who's our special teams coordinator. He's done a really good job of giving guys a special team to be in charge of, and Coach Williams is in charge of PAT field goal, and those guys run with it. Coach Kern on the kickoff return team has done a great job, and having Devin Griffin back there helps out. But these guys, they put a lot of work into it. They take a lot of pride in it, and it gives them something to hang their hat on.
Saturday, you guys were close, didn't get that extra point, didn't get that field goal, or then the score is very different at halftime. But both teams really adjusted at halftime because the offenses were moving back and forth the whole first half. Then the second half, you shut them out in the third quarter. You get a field goal in the third quarter. So the defense is really adjusted.
Yeah, they're a really good defense, and I think really what happened is one of our weaker points is our offensive line, just with experience, and they had some big guys on their defensive line that were able to, I think, as the game went on, start making plays and start dominating us in the run game. That was something that hurt us as we went further in that game, is we just couldn't get the run established in the way we had hoped, and that put a lot of pressure on our pass game. But our defense answered the bell, and we challenged them at halftime that the first series of that half was going to be one of the most important series of that game and really of our season, of how we could show to come out in the second half and to play as well as they did throughout that whole third quarter. I was proud of them. They really battled throughout that whole third quarter.
The team averages about 600 yards a game, and you guys shut them out for the entire third quarter. It was pretty cool. You talked about putting pressure on the passing game. Brent Eisen, your freshman quarterback, he had a pretty good game, actually.
Yeah, I was proud of Tim, and this was his first start since the Lion game, which obviously didn't go as planned. And I think he really understood what to expect now. He's been able to watch some good teams come in, get in some games, and get some of that confidence. And even though it was maybe late mop-up duty type stuff, he was able to produce and move the football, and that was an encouraging sign. But he really did a great job of managing the game, made some plays when needed to make them, and by and large, I thought he played a good game. There were some reads he missed and some plays that I know he would have liked to have back, but by and large, for a guy coming out playing the number one team in the nation, I thought he did a good job.
Played Trinity International this weekend, 3 games left. Two of the three aren't even against nationally ranked teams. That's pretty shocking that you've got somebody on your schedule that isn't nationally ranked. Talk a little bit about the Trojans.
Well, they're a good team. They're very similar to us. Their record is identical. They've got 2 wins like we do, and they're just coming off of a big win. They played Robert Morris, who was a playoff team in our league last year, and they're a good football program. So that's a big win for them, and they were able to hang on in overtime and get that win to give them their second win of the season. So I view us very, very similar. You know, I think when you put it on paper, there's areas I think that we have some advantages, but you know, they've got a really talented running back, really talented quarterback, and it's somewhat a game that we've got to come out and play like we did last week for the first 3 quarters. And you know, the thing that I talked to the guys about is that that's on their resume now. So everybody, you know, we've got to build off of that. We can't slide back. We can't, you know, not play the number 1 team in the nation and not bring the same effort and energy. That's going to be really important. You know, I don't want to slight Trinity and say play down to the competition, but I think there's a different level that is just natural when you're playing the number 1 team. So, you know, we've got to build off of that. We've got to bring the same energy and enthusiasm to Saturday.
You talked about Trinity having a good running back, 2 different running backs with more than 300 yards, 2 different receivers that average more than 16 yards a catch. They're pretty good offensively.
Yeah, they do a nice job. They do a lot of misdirection stuff. They run the option in offense that's similar to Concordia. It's challenging for a linebacker because there's so much misdirection, and you can get your eyes wrong and all of a sudden be out of your gap, and you see the ball running downfield with nobody, and people in the stands are wondering, you know, what happened there. But it presents a challenge. I think their one wide receiver, number 4, is a talented guy. He's a big guy, 6'3", 200 pounds, and a guy that they like to target a lot. So, you know, we've got to take him away, and we've got to obviously be sound in the run game, and that's going to be a big challenge for our linebackers.
Your safety, Connor Baumstadt's 2 tackles away from 200 for his career. He's meant a lot to you guys. Some of your veterans have really done some nice things. Dontrell gets the pick this weekend. Both the Johnson brothers get turnovers. Talk a little bit about the defensive side of the ball.
Well, they keep getting better. You know, we've got a lot of young guys, but some of those older guys that are veterans, they're just kind of the glue that holds everybody together. You know, Dontrell has been a little bit inconsistent on being in the right spot, but he makes plays. And you mentioned the interception, and then what was really neat was the fact that he got the strip fumble, and his brother was able to scoop it up and score it last week. So kind of a neat deal there for him. Connor's just a staple in the defense, and a guy that can get everybody lined up. A young guy that I'm really proud of is Kyron Ballard, and Kyron, he's really learning a lot from Connor in that back end.
And he was smacking people around Saturday.
Yeah, he's done a really good job for us. But the smartest thing that Kyron does, and some of these younger guys, is they're really kind of in those guys' hip pocket to learn from them. And when you have that, that's even better than coaching, because those are guys that they believe in and trust and can really learn from. But they're the glue of the defense, and they've got to take us through these last 3 games. And if they do, I really think that we are going to put ourselves in a position to come out with, you know, possibly 2 wins or 3 wins out of the last 3.
We talk about the defense. The Trojans run the ball very well. You guys haven't defended the run very well statistically. Is there something different you do this week, or, you know, how do you adjust?
You know, I think the biggest thing is finding the guys that are going to do what their job is. You know, we've had guys that our angles are wrong. They're running out of there too quick. They're not seeing pulls, and I credit a lot of that to just inexperience and reps. You know, the more that you're out there, the more that you see it, it becomes second nature to you. But the misdirection creates a problem. We've got to be a little bit better on the defensive line at times, you know, shedding blocks and making plays. But by and large, you know, it really is going to come down to our guys. Can we get them to feel confident in what they do and make it as simple as possible for them against some of the misdirection stuff? And I think we've got a good game plan in order, and we've been working on it a lot throughout practice of exactly what they're going to see to give them that confidence. So, you know, we just need to get back to playing fast and physical against the run, and not as much. I think what there is it's almost paralysis by analysis. They're trying to read it, make the perfect read, and get in the perfect spot, and sometimes you just got to run downhill and run through your gap and hit the ball carrier. So, you know, I think if we get back to that, we'll be okay.
Still looking for that breakout game by Isaiah King. He has been limited, you know, all year long seemingly, and I know that other teams are paying more attention to him, and that, but that is still a real missing part of the offense, isn't it?
Well, it is, and you know, in some regards it is, and I'll say that is there's a little bit better, I think, personnel around him that you know, is naturally going to take away a little bit from Isaiah. You know, guys like Devin Griffin have had some big games, and Deontay Cox have had some big catches, and the best thing with Isaiah is he's unselfish. You know, he understands the process of the team, and he knows that when he gets his chance, he's got to make the plays, and they're definitely taking him away, and that's to be expected. You know, when you have that talent, you know, so what we've got to find him, get him ways is to somehow get him the ball with double teams. But the nice thing within the talent that we have is they can double team him, but they can't double team Griffin, and they can't double team Cox, and they can't double team Barnes, and they can't double team Kendall Davis. So it does open some other things for those guys, and eventually what you're going to see is there's going to be a shift to one of those guys, and that's when we got to take advantage of Isaiah. But teams are doing a good job against him, and I know he gets frustrated at times, but he's just such a good team guy and understands when Griffin, him and Devin and Deontay are so close, it makes a big difference, you know. So all three of them root for each other, which is what you got to have out of that group.
3 games left, all on the road, 2 of them against teams with losing records, 1 of them against another nationally ranked team. This really, in terms of record and all of that and how you feel about the season, this last 3-game road stretch is really makes or breaks the season, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's no doubt about that. You know, we came into the season with high hopes of how good we could be. Things haven't gone our way. Obviously, that's part of football. We have a lot of youth out there that has a lot of talent, but putting those pieces together hasn't always been there. And obviously, there's been high moments and frustrating moments at the same token, but I think if we can go into these last 3 games and compete at the level that we've all shown now of what is capable out of this group, then I think we can look back on the season and say it's a success. Maybe not as successful as what we had hoped, but it's a success nonetheless, and it gives all of our young guys that are coming back a lot of confidence, because even though we're graduating about 17 or 18 seniors, there's only a handful of those guys that are major contributors because of some of the young guys that are out there giving us a lot of good minutes. So there's a lot to build on. There's a lot to be excited about, but you know, how we finish this is going to be key, I think.
Good luck this weekend. That's head coach Jason Burianek. I'm Harry Schrader. You've been watching the Football Coaches Show here on the Spartan Digital Network.